right, guys, give me 1 minute. All right. Well, good evening, everybody. Hopefully you all had a fantastic weekend. It is Sunday in New York. It is Sunday in Manhattan. Now, the good news is that pretty much all weekend it was beautiful. It was a really, really nice weekend. It was dry for most, I should say the majority of the weekend. But now it is raining, just as we are starting the live stream, but it actually kind of looks nice. You know, it's cooling things down a little bit. You know, I actually enjoy walking in the rain. Hopefully you guys will enjoy this live stream. I think it could probably double as one of those, you know, ASMR live streams, if you will. But guys, it is Sunday. It is the Markets A Look Ahead live stream. And we are starting off the stream right outside of 1 Central Park West. So you see this building right in front of us? This is actually the Trump International Hotel and Tower. Obviously, you know, there's 3 main entrances. Maybe I'll go ahead and show you guys that. But, you know, I always like starting off the stream here because it's an awesome view of New York City's Billionaires Row. You can see the Steinway building here. You can see 157 and 220 Central Park South. You can really notice the rain is picking up. I think this is going to be a really nice walk for you guys to just... I'm holding the umbrella, so I'm not going to be able to say hello to everybody in the chat, but I'm sure we have our regulars here. Wow, it's gorgeous. This is really, really nice. Now, once again, you could see the front end. Hey, Dominic Romano, what's up, man? Good to see you, Dominic. Hopefully you had a wonderful weekend. Now, what's funny about New York, I'll tell you guys something. For those of you in the chat who are, I guess, non-New Yorkers, there's really only one mode of rain in New York. It's like sort of a running joke. It's either not raining at all, or it's absolutely pouring like it is here. But you know what? When it's like this, oh, check this out. Literally 40 seconds ago, like 40, 50 seconds ago, maybe a minute, you were able to see the top of the Steinway building. The clouds, the storm clouds have rolled in. You can't even see the top of the Billionaires Row building, which is kind of crazy. But anyway, it only really has 2 modes of rain here in New York. It's not at all, or it comes down in buckets all at once. And I think we are right about at the level where it's coming down in buckets. You know, the first store that you're going to see here, because I actually got a lot of emails about this. The first store, which is right over here, is actually the private residences. You are able to purchase condominiums in the Trump International Hotel and Tower. However, the middle door right here is the hotel. But there is a program where you're actually able to purchase individual hotel rooms and use it sort of as like a pied-à-terre, if you will. So maybe for a businessman or businesswoman who's only going to be in New York maybe 3 or 4 weeks out of the year, you could actually purchase one of the hotel units in the Trump International Hotel and actually rent it out while you're away. So it's a little bit of a unique feature. You know what other building does that real quick? The Plaza Hotel. So there's 2 specific, I should say, programs you could do at the Plaza. And we may walk past the Plaza Hotel tonight. You can purchase individual residences with the building, or you could purchase the hotel rooms, in which case when you're not there, it'll go back into the hotel pool. Hey, the ABX girl is here. Good to see you, ABX girl from the Bronx. I see Sabrina Fair. I see Dutchman is here. Welcome, welcome. But yeah, I just thought I'd quickly show you guys. We haven't really been up towards the, Billionaires Row / Columbus Circle neighborhood in a while. So I think it would be appropriate to show you guys here. Hey, I Revis is here. Welcome, good to see you. Zozo Bob says stay dry. Thank you, Bob. Now, Zozo Bob is in South Florida, so he's definitely accustomed to rain. Elijah B is here. Miss Bash, good to see you. Thank you for joining us. The city needed the rain. I was walking around all weekend, and man, were the streets dirty. You guys saw it on the past 2 live streams we did. Especially after a big weekend like we had 4th of July week. Tons of tourists in the city, a lot of parties, a lot of barbecues. The city gets very, very dirty. So when we have these huge downpouring, soaking rains, it does a good job to clean out the city. So I think this is much needed rain. Looks beautiful, and I actually enjoy walking around in it. Hey, Deborah's here. Says, hey Tom, maybe you could walk to Grand Central to get dry. Yeah, I think we'll probably head on our way there. But first, I want to take you guys around the brand new, well, not brand new, the Deutsche Bank Towers. This building right here was actually first developed in 2006. And it was the Time Warner building, or the AOL building, if some of you can even remember AOL. But now Deutsche Bank has officially left their main office building at 60 Wall Street, and they are now officially moved in right here at Columbus Circle, which I think is a much better home for them. So maybe if it's open, I'll actually give you guys a little bit of a tour on the inside. Nat is here. What's up? Good to see you, Nat. Right, I believe the coast is clear to cross the street. Ooh, this girl is unfortunately caught out without the umbrella. Wow, it is really coming down now. Hey, Glass of Beer 12, what's up? Glenda R is joining us. Good to see Glenda. AUS Fly Girl, what's up? Check out the Empire Hotel sign all the way in the back. That's an awesome shot. You have 59th Street, Columbus Circle subway station, and in the back you have the Empire Hotel. It's awesome. Hey, Ed Potke is here. Says, hey Tom, raining heavily here also. Yeah, I think we're actually supposed to, well, not supposed to. I got a notification on my phone just as we started the stream. I think we're gonna have flash flood warnings and advisories in effect for New York and parts of New Jersey. And that's no joke. Usually once a year we get these really bad floods. Does anybody remember this time last year? We had those horrible floods, and we actually had some people unfortunately die in New Jersey and in Brooklyn. A lot of people don't know this, but Brooklyn, New York, in specific neighborhoods, specific locations, floods a lot. Like major flooding in Brooklyn. Hey, Western Mass Dave says we had flash floods yesterday. Good to see you, Dave. See Charles Hong. Welcome, Charles. So this is an awesome shot of New York City's Billionaires Row. The building with the gold top is 220 Central Park South. And the building right to the right of it is Central Park Tower. Now, Central Park Tower is an Extel development. You may be familiar with 157. The same company, Gary Burnett's company, Extel, designed both buildings on Billionaires Row. But 220 Central Park South was developed by Vornado. And just over the Memorial Day weekend, so in May, we had a record-breaking sale. into 20 Central Park South. It went under contract for $75 million. That's the kind of price tags you get here on Billionaires Row. Hey, Dwayne is here. What's up? Says, I remember the bad floods hit Calgary, Alberta in 2013. Dwayne, good to see you from Canada. Welcome to New York. I'm not sure if I told you guys, but I'm actually going to be in Toronto. Hopefully, I mean, fingers crossed, let's say that, in August. So I'm excited to get back to Canada. I haven't been in a long, long time. It's going to be a joy to be north of the border, let's just say that. Hey, Brian, hey, Tom, flash flooding here in Pennsylvania early today. Hopefully you're inside staying dry. So for some perspective here, this black building here is the Trump International Hotel and Tower. That's actually what we were just walking past. But the limestone building to the left is one of the most exclusive addresses in all of New York City. This building is called 15 Central Park West. Very, very exclusive address. Right off of Billionaires Row. This channel is called Walks in Wall Street, and there are some major Wall Street, I should say, former CEOs. Does anybody remember the name Lloyd Blankfein? Former CEO at Goldman Sachs. Has a beautiful apartment there. Also, if you want to talk sports, back in the day when Alex Rodriguez used to play for the Yankees, he had an amazing place in 15 Central Park West. But now I believe he's since moved on to the other building, the most fashionable one on Billionaires Row, which is 432 Park Avenue. I believe A-Rod has a spot there. Hey, Wendy England, what's up? Good to see you. Abdul is here. Welcome, welcome. Now guys, check this out. Here's one thing about New York that I can't stand, especially during the winter. And for those New Yorkers who are watching the stream, you're gonna know exactly what I'm talking about. Check this out. You see these puddles that form here? After every substantial snowstorm in New York, this becomes like the puddle of death. It's sort of like you're crossing the Arctic Ocean. It's horrible. So just be wary of that. If you're gonna be moving to New York or visiting during the winter, anytime we have material precipitation and snowfall, at every crosswalk, it's like a puddle of icy mess, let's just say that. We're on West 58th Street. We're going to be making a left on 57th Street, which is Billionaires Row. So let me cross here. Hey, Arctic Paratrooper, what's up? Says, good evening, Tom, out in the rain, hardcore. Yeah, I mean, I actually like walking in the rain. I have a pretty big umbrella, so I'm not getting too wet. Nat says it looks like Gotham. Yeah. Well, we're going to try our best to do the Markets to Look Ahead stream. This week on Wall Street is going to be pretty busy for a couple reasons. And I'll try to clear the raindrops from the camera pretty soon. Looks like that was almost a little bit of a fender bender there with that pickup truck. We're going to get inflation data, okay? So the CPI report is going to be released this week. That's going to be a major data point that the Federal Reserve is going to take into consideration as they make their next monetary policy decision at the latter part of July. So if we quickly want to sort of understand where we're operating, right? Every time we talk about building a systematic approach, a systematic framework to investing, we always want to start with which environment we're operating in. So I think it's appropriate to define our monetary policy environment. So the current Fed funds rate stands at about 5% to 5.25%. In June the Federal Reserve decided not to raise interest rates. However, we've been getting a lot of positive economic news, especially on the jobs report. The May non-farm payrolls blew the doors off the numbers, coming in at almost 400,000 jobs created in May. The exact number was about 380,000. And this past non-farm payroll report, even though jobs numbers missed the mark a little bit, wage inflation and wage pressures continue to persist. So what does this mean? Well, if you look at the futures market right now, and I looked at this on Friday, it probably hasn't changed much. There's about an 87% likelihood that the Federal Reserve is going to raise interest rates yet again on the July FOMC meeting by 25 basis points. If the Fed chooses to do this, that's going to bring the Fed funds rate to 5.25% to 5.5%. And we've been seeing mortgage rates sort of follow this, right? Usually the bond market will price in the Fed's rate hikes depending on, the verbiage and the direction from the Fed presidents, particularly the chairman of the Federal Reserve, which is Fed Chair Jerome Powell. So let me cross here. We're on 57th Street. This is officially New York City's Billionaires Row, by the way. I'm going to read some of the comments in a minute, but last week there was some substantial movements in the bond market, particularly as it relates to Treasury yields. So we talked about how the 1-year U.S. Treasury is yielding 5.5%. You look at the 10-year U.S. Treasury, it's knocking on the door above 4%, and the 30-year fixed-rate mortgage sort of tracks the trajectory of the 10-year U.S. Treasury. So mortgage rates in the United States as it relates to a 30-year fixed-rate mortgage is yet again over 7%. Now, if you look all the way in the distance, I want you guys to sort of keep your eyes fixated on that building right there. Now, that is 432 Park Avenue. That is Harry Macklow's building. However, it's so tall that you actually can't even see the top of the building because it's so cloudy and stormy out, but it is over there nonetheless. Hey, Gary Carpenter's here. What's up? Hope you're well. Thank you for joining us. Shadow Ship. Welcome. The Apprentice, good to see you. Hey, Evan Weeks, what's up, man? Just been wondering if we're in a short-lived bull rally rather than any sustainable turn of the market. Yeah, so that's I think that's the million-dollar question, right? Now, if you look at all the major equity indices, this is the hold that thought. You guys see this? This is 217 West 57th Street. This is actually the front entrance of Central Park Tower. So this is the brand new Xtel development. And if you go on StreetEasy or you go on Zillow, the triplex that sits atop of Central Park Tower is on the market right now for a cool $250 million, $250 million. This is the front entrance. It's actually in with the Nordstrom building here. But, Evan Weeks makes a good point. If you look at the NASDAQ, the S&P 500, and the Dow 30, over the past 3 months, markets have recovered. Equity markets have really, really recovered. But over the last couple weeks, we've sort of fallen back into this correctionary period, which I sort of posted about on Twitter, which I actually think is good. I actually think that's very bullish, and it's happening sort of right around the appropriate time. I call it the summer doldrums, right? So usually during the summer, volume dries up on a lot of the exchanges because people are away, people take vacations, particularly in and around the July 4th holiday. Also Labor Day, which is sort of the last hurrah of the summer, if you will. So I wouldn't mind seeing all of these, equity indices pull back over the summer, allow one more earnings cycle to roll through, assuming it's going to be a positive earnings cycle, and then continue this uptrend. Who knows? All right, team, we are now standing on the corner of 7th Avenue and West 57th Street. This is actually one of the most famous buildings in all of New York City that we're looking at right now. This is Carnegie Hall. Now, unfortunately, which I do apologize for, there's all scaffolding all around the building. They're doing some major renovations on Carnegie Hall. So hopefully that'll be done soon and the scaffolding will be able to come down, because the architectural design on that building is really unbelievable to see, particularly if you're a tourist and haven't seen it before. This is an amazing building. Hey, Nathan Guadalupe is here. What's up? Good to see you. My friend Steph UH is here. What's up, Steph? And the one, the only Hawaii. Welcome, friends. Hopefully you've brought your umbrella. Look at this. You have like a flash flood of garbage clogging up the drainage systems. Now, that's one thing I want to see the city really make some progress on, is the cleanliness of the city. However, I will say this, and this may be a controversial take, but I'm going to say it anyway, because I think that's why a lot of you guys watch the stream. I tell it to you straight and I tell it like it is. You can't rely on the city alone to fix the problem. I think it's more of a community problem. So the garbage isn't on the street because, you know, city employees are throwing the garbage on the street. It's people like me and you, right? I'm not saying that me and you throw garbage on the street, but it's the citizens in New York who are not being good stewards of their environment and disposing of the trash properly. So I think it's a communal effort, right? However, I think the mayor's office could, you know, put out marketing and rally the city and say, look, guys, we all have to live here, okay? This is the greatest city on earth with the greatest people from all over the world, and they choose to come here. And if we want to continue that trend, we're going to need to step up our cleanliness and do the right thing. So every time you dispose your trash in the proper receptacles, you personally are contributing to the success and the integrity of the city. So I think if Mayor Eric Adams just use that script, pull that soundbite, and read it aloud, I think things would be better off. Guys, I wanted to take you to this corner. Check this out. This is West 58th Street and 7th Avenue. Look at this. Now, what we're looking at right now is called Alwyn Court. This is one of the most beautiful buildings that sits right at Central Park South. Now, this building right here is actually the New York Athletic Club, but adjacent is Alwyn Court. And the architecture on this building is unbelievable. And I think it's so appropriately placed because you can quite literally see the distinction between the old New York and the new New York. And if you're wondering what that big blue skyscraper is behind Alwyn Court, that is the first building ever developed to create what's now called Billionaires Row in New York. That is 157, and that building was developed by the Extel Group. And I just love this shot because it shows off, quite literally firsthand, the architectural diversity of this city, which is one of the reasons why I love it so much. And this is 111 West 57th Street, which is also called the Steinway Building. Now notice how tall this building is. It's literally stuck in the clouds. So if you live on the upper floors of the building, your view is quite literally obstructed by all the weather and the precipitation. Hey, Jafet Perez is here. What's up? Richard Vogel, how are you? Another guy named John, it's good to see you. Hey, Dan Zhang, what's up? Says Tom, do you think letting the private sector to be involved can be the solution? I mean, maybe. It's a good point, but I really think it's all about perception, right? And cleanliness is all about perception and framing. So think about it in terms of like a sale, right? And think about it from like human behavior. And I'll give you an example. If you're hanging out with friends and all of your friends are smoking cigarettes, the probability that you're also going to smoke cigarettes is extremely high, right? But if you hang around people who don't smoke, well, you're probably not going to smoke cigarettes. Whoa, look at this. This is an awesome shot of Central Park Tower. That looks awesome. Wow. So I think, you know, if you get a little bit lackadaisical, and if one person sees somebody, you know, throw their garbage on the street, well, then the next person thinks it's okay, subconsciously. So it's sort of like a subconscious programming. So I think it's more along the lines of just getting back to the basics, right? So if the city can just put out, you know, marketing to say, look, nobody likes the city being dirty, everybody wants it clean, we all have to do our part to make that happen. That's your mindset. That's my mindset. But it has to come from the leader. It has to be from the leader directing that message to the crew or the team. But I don't know. I think, you know, I have to actually praise Mayor Eric Adams. Me personally, I've seen some very big improvements to the city, particularly in and around Washington Square Park. Very big improvements. So I don't just like to point out the negatives. I point out the positives as well. So we're moving in the right direction, and that's all that matters. Hey, Bree Grams, what's up? I know. One of the most funny things to watch in New York is all the people scurrying around that got caught out without the umbrella. Hey, SME Media, good to see you. I see NAV 407. Let me give you guys one more shot of the Carnegie Hall. Unfortunately, we have scaffolding all in and around the building. But you see this little building right here with the red overhang? That's actually the Russian Tea Room. It's a very, very famous place in New York. I'll walk over to 6th Avenue and then sort of turn to the right so I can show you guys in more detail. This is the IESE Business School, which is 165 West 57th Street. But here's the main entrance to 157. Now notice how there's two sort of awnings here. The first awning is the residences. So you could actually buy condominiums in this building. And if you do own or rent at 157, you go in this door. However, the Park Hyatt, which is a 5-star luxurious hotel, they are also in the same building. So the second door is to the Park Hyatt, which is a gorgeous 5-star hotel. The amenities are unbelievable in there. I would recommend a stay at the Park Hyatt. It is going to be a little bit pricey. I think room rates start at about $1,000 a night. So a little bit cheaper than the Aman Hotel, which we're about to pass on 5th Avenue, which is, by the way, Aman is coming up with residences as well. So if you like the style of the Aman Hotel, you'll actually be able to purchase individual residences. You can see it has Forbes 5-star, 153 West 57th Street, Park Hyatt, and 157. Hey, Life, Liberty, and Guns is here. Good to see you. Thanks for joining us. Hey, Jewel Mar, thank you for your $10 donation. Very kind of you. This is hot coffee on me with gleeful greetings. Thank you so much, Jewel Mar. You know, Steph UH says, I wonder if my Hyatt employee friend could get me a discount. You know, I have a really good friend who works right here. I think I told you. She periodically gives me sort of real life market updates. And get this. Remember all of those naysayers during the pandemic that were saying New York is never going to come back and New York is dead and tourists are never going to come back to the city? Remember those people? I think you all do. Well, over the first few weekends of the summer, the Park Hyatt has actually been sold out. Think about that. So you have a 5-star hotel here on Billionaires Row. with room rates starting at $1,000, and it's selling out in New York City. Now, if you've been watching Walks on Wall Street for the past, I don't know, maybe 3 to 6 months, we've been talking about how consumer spending is very, very strong on services. People have all of this pent-up demand from the pandemic, and they're using it to take those vacations. They're using it to take those trips, stay in hotels, stay in Airbnbs. And the consumer is actually stronger than ever as it relates to hospitality. You know, just take a look at some of the hospitality stocks. Speaking of Hyatt, they are a publicly traded company under the ticker symbol H. H is the ticker symbol for Hyatt. So hospitality has been pretty strong, right? We're actually going to get some updated consumer sentiment data on Friday. Now, Friday is an important day because that's when we hear from the University of Michigan as they release their consumer sentiment survey. Let me try to wipe the camera best I can. Hey, Michael Joseph, what's up? Good to see you. Mr. 007. John. Welcome, John. Hey, Carl Roth. Good evening, Tom. Good to see you, Carl. All right, let's continue down to, what is this, 7th or 6th Avenue of the Americas. And we'll start to head downtown. Wow, Michael Joseph's flooding is so bad in New York City. People are being rescued from their cars. Now, let me guess. Is that on the FDR? There's some really, really bad spots on the FDR where, and particular locations in the Bronx too, that flood like crazy. So hopefully nobody is trapped in their vehicles. That'd be horrible. Hey, Spencer here says greetings from Silicon Valley. Greetings, Spencer. Thank you for joining us on this crazy rainy night. And it's humid. This is the most humid I've probably ever seen it. Now, what I think we'll do is head down towards Rockefeller Center and Radio City Music Hall. I haven't taken you guys down that way in quite a while. As the rain is subsiding, if you look all the way downtown, you could actually see the Radio City Music Hall sign. Mr. 007 says, love New York City, it's the best. I agree, for sure. Aves is just the flooding is in the FDR. It's horrible, true nightmare when it rains. Yeah, and you know, it's interesting because I had a conversation, I always have conversations with my friends that give me such a hard time about Miami, Florida, right? Because they say, look, you move to Florida, it's gonna flood, your place is gonna flood out. But we have our own flooding problems here in New York City too. This is a great shot of 111 West 57th Street. This is the Steinway Tower. What you're looking at right now is the skinniest apartment building in the entire world. But a lot of people don't know that, particularly people that are not native New Yorkers. I think people need to realize New York City is surrounded by water, quite literally. Right? So we are not, we don't get the automatic pass. I'm sure everybody remembers Hurricane Sandy, which was a total travesty for the area. If you ever venture out east on Long Island to specific towns like Oceanside, Center Avenue, Rockville Center, right, Long Beach, you still have some houses today that are being rebuilt and essentially put up on stilts, right? You have to raise the elevation of the homes because during Sandy, the water came up so far. I remember walking Long Beach after Hurricane Sandy, and quite literally, this isn't an exaggeration, by the way, the boardwalk was gone. Does anybody remember that? And that's not an exaggeration. Quite literally, the boardwalk at Long Beach was gone. There was like some remnants of it. And it pushed so much sand all the way up Long Beach Road. It was really crazy. So if you've ever been to Long Beach now, you'll notice how the boardwalk is sort of like half concrete now. So it's definitely something we need to worry about. Hey, Tom C says, I'm in Howard Beach. We got flooded by Sandy as well. Yeah, Howard Beach. What else got hit hard? Trying to think. Breezy Point was bad. That was really bad. Hey, it's just something we're gonna have to deal with. Hey, Brad's Brains says, I haven't experienced rainy season yet in H-Town, but so far it only rains for a few hours and moves on. Very different from the Midwest. Well, that's good, man. Thank God. Hopefully you're getting settled in to Houston. We actually have a lot of viewers from Houston and Austin. I think I told you guys, I think I told Brad this. I like that guy's Salesforce umbrella. He had a really nice Salesforce umbrella. Ticker symbol CRM. But I've been to Texas once. I went to Austin, Texas. And if you're ever in Austin, you gotta go to this place called Terry Black's. It's unbelievable. Probably some of the best barbecue I've ever had. But take a look at this. Right now, this is supposed to be a very clear view of 432 Park Avenue. It's so cloudy and so rainy, you can't see the building at all. It's literally supposed to be right here. And you can't, if you look really, really closely, you could sort of see the silhouette of 432 Park. Yeah, Rock is like, stop by Halal Guys. You know, I'll do you one better. I think there's a better halal spot further down by Radio City Music Hall, and it's called Adele's Famous. In my opinion, it's better than Halal Guys, but obviously that's up for debate. Yeah, beautiful stranger says it's hot as hell in Texas, but I love it. And Texas is, you know, is it? When I was in Austin, it really wasn't humid. It was like a very dry heat. It reminded me a little bit of when I have to take business trips to Vegas. And I could not live in Las Vegas during the summer. Let's just say that. Not for me. We'll cross here before this guy gets all upset. Hey, Steph UH says, I'm doing okay this summer in Florida, hot but livable. Yeah, well, you're probably used to that, Steph. You're built for that down there. All right, since we've done a pretty in-depth review of Billionaires Road tonight, mainly because it's pouring raining, it's hard to do the market stream. I guess I'll point out this building. You guys see this? Now, although this isn't on 57th Street, this building right here, 53 West 53rd, is still considered one of the buildings on Billionaires Road. It's actually nicknamed the MoMA building. This is another one of the ultra luxurious condominiums. It's actually right across the street from the very famous Warwick Hotel. Now let's sort of compare the architectural integrity of these two buildings here. I think this is going to be a pretty good example. So on one hand, you have the Steinway Towers, you have Central Park Tower, all those huge glass facade buildings, and then you have these beautiful Art Deco style that have been here for 100 years. I think it's an awesome contrast. I wish I could take you guys in the lobby of the Warwick. It's really nice in there. Now the clouds are moving out, so you could actually see a little bit of 432 Park Avenue there. flowers are definitely getting some much needed watering, let's say that. Yeah, Western Mass Dave, thank you for asking, by the way. I am all settled in. I should be there for about 3 months because I think it's just going to be a temporary place right around until maybe September, November-ish. But I like it. You know, it's right next to the Hudson Yards. It's literally the building right as you walk on the new walking bridge, right, that I showed you guys the other day. The Moynihan connection to the High Line, it's right there. So I love it. I love the neighborhood. It's close to Penn Station. If I need to take the train to Jamaica and take the air train to JFK, fly to Miami, it's a nice place. It's quiet. That's really all I care about. This is the halal guys here. Hey, Ryan Beck, what's up, man? That'll be much better. Yeah, hell yeah, man. For sure, for sure. You're right. So just to give you guys an idea, for those of you who are not familiar with, you know, the tri-state area, I guess, you know, commuting from Long Island's not horrible, but it does get a bit tedious, especially if you need to be at the office at like 8 o'clock. If you need to be at the office at 8 o'clock, you're gonna need to take like a 6:30 train in order to give yourself enough time. You know, 6:30, you get in at 7:30, you know, 30-minute walk to the office. So if you're doing that every day, and especially getting home at like 1, 2 in the morning, it's just not gonna work. So, you know, better off to be in the city, save on the commuting time. Now here we have Charles Schwab. This is actually my broker dealer. It was actually in a little bit of hot water. Does anybody remember that? You know, it seems as if time is like an illusion now. I remember covering step by step on this live stream the Silicon Valley bank collapse. Everybody remember that? And then the contagion effect that happened thereafter with all the regional banks. That seems like an eternity ago, but that was only a couple months ago. Isn't that wild? That's really insane to think about. But it is true. Hey, NBA Elias is here. Says, hey, Tom, hope you had a good weekend. I did. It was nice. I took some time to relax. This week is going to be a big week for me, and many of you also, because, you know, I say this is the official start of Q3. Now, I know what you're thinking. Q3 already started, but everybody was pretty much out of the office last week. I mean, maybe some of you weren't, but, you know, 4th of July week, if it lands on a Tuesday, a lot of people are just going to take off. So this is going to be the first full solid week, 5 straight business days of Q3. So we're really going to need to hit it hard to reach our goals, right, to achieve what we want to achieve. So I'm sure a lot of you will be very busy this week. Also, guys, we're going to get the CPI report, inflation data. Now, what do you guys think? You think we're going to come in hot, in line? Do you think inflation's going to fade? I mean, this is a big number because this is the last piece of inflation data besides the PPI we're going to get before the Fed sets their monetary policy decision. Right across the street is UBS. Now, speaking of the Silicon Valley bank collapse, that sort of was pretty much the one catalyst that nudged Credit Suisse to its demise. UBS took over the bank, and as happens in a lot of mergers and acquisitions, usually the company who's doing the acquiring usually has the final say, if you will. So there has been a lot of rumors on the street that, you know, legacy Credit Suisse employees are going to get laid off or have been getting laid off, which makes sense. So hopefully, you know, those employees will find work, find a new home pretty soon. Let me try to catch up on some of the comments. Yeah, Ryan Beck says, I think it comes in cooler. Everything seems to be trending that way, even though I'm not sure we see it in our daily lives. Yeah, I mean, you know, the main two categories that are really going to make or break the number is shelter costs and food. Wow, look at this shot, everybody. This is like a 10 out of 10. Look at that. You got Radio City Music Hall, but look at those American flags. You got 1, 2, 3, 4 of them. Wow. Take a screenshot of that. That is an awesome. I'm going to take a screenshot of this. Yeah, Lix59 says Bureau of Labor Statistics is too corrupt to know the answer. You know, yeah, I mean, I get that, but here's how I sort of conceptualize that. And I'm not sort of trying to diminish your concern, because you're right. There's a lot of problems with cooking the numbers, cooking the books and all that, but we gotta at least have some sort of integrity in these numbers to make decisions off of, right? So, like, if you look in your everyday life, and I sort of think about what Peter Lynch always used to say. So if you guys don't know Peter Lynch, he's one of the most famous mutual fund managers of all time. He used to work for Fidelity. He used to run their flagship Magellan Fund, right? Unbelievable returns. And he would always say, he's like, look, you know, sometimes we could bury our heads so far into the data that you forget to just take a step back and look at what's actually going on in your life. Are things coming down? Are your energy costs coming down, right? Are your food costs coming down? Are your shelter costs coming down? Now, if you guys were to ask yourself that particular question, now I don't want to assume, I don't want to put words in anybody's mouth, but I think everybody would be saying it's not as bad as 2022. However, shelter costs continue to remain very, very elevated. At least in my world, right? And I'm using that comparison from New York City and Miami, right? Shelter costs is just insanity here, out of control. However, we do actually see some softening in the outer boroughs. I was looking at a couple deals for one of my buddies, and some apartments for rent in Brooklyn are starting to offer concessions now. You know, 1 month free, things like that. No broker fee. So, you know, we are starting to see the housing market soften a little bit, which is good. Hey, Teresa Diaz, good to see you. Thank you so much for keeping the time here. Lix59 says they are making decisions based off false materials. WTF, bad decisions, results as usual. Well, I agree that the Fed is behind the 8 ball, if you will. So I think you're right on that. You know, has anybody heard of the hedge fund manager Dan Tapiero? Well, if you don't know who he is, Dan T, or Dan Tap, really good guy. He runs 10T Holdings. Oh, look at this. Look at how cool that is. That's like something you see in the movies, right? You're pulling up to the old diner and you have the flickering lights here. You can actually hear the light going out. That's so cool. This is how you get to the observation deck atop of, what do you call it? Rockefeller Center. That's funny. Anyway, you know, Dan Tapiero is saying, look, the Federal Reserve is not looking out of the front view window, right? If you're driving a car, you don't look in the rear view mirror. You look directly ahead of you, right? So the Federal Reserve sort of dropped the ball on raising interest rates. They did it too late, and some would argue that they're being too persistent with keeping rates elevated. Now, I'm not saying I necessarily agree with that take. However, I do think the Fed is basing a lot of their decision-making off of lagging economic indicators, right? So oftentimes on the stream, we'll talk about the 3 main forms of economic indicators. Number 1, you have your leading economic indicators. Number 2, you have your lagging economic indicators, and then lastly, or last but not least, you have your coincident economic indicators. So look, some people could blame the Fed. However, I think it takes two to tango. I'm sure all of you have heard that saying before. And I think a lot of people forget that we have a fiscal side of the house. It's not all Jerome Powell's fault, okay? There's monetary policy and then there's fiscal policy. And I think the United States right now has very poor fiscal policy. And I'm not, for or against any particular political party. I think both the Democrats and Republicans can do better for the American citizen on the fiscal side of the house. Now, what you're looking at is the brand new Rockefeller Center roller skating rink. I think they did a really good job here. Now, unfortunately, there's nobody here because it was pouring raining. And this is where they put the Rockefeller Center Christmas tree. You'll actually see the spot over here. They label it. But if you guys are enjoying the live stream so far tonight, you can feel free to leave a like on the video and click the subscribe button if you're new. We do these live streams roughly every night, starting at 8:30. So this spot right here, it says Christmas Tree Rockefeller Center. This is actually right where they put it. So if you've visited New York before, you've seen it in pictures or movies, this quite literally is the spot where they put up the Christmas tree. And it overlooks Rockefeller Plaza. Awesome shot here. And what you're seeing in the distance is Saks Fifth Avenue. Yeah, Ryan Beck, isn't that awesome? A lot of people don't know that, by the way. I'd say a lot of non-New Yorkers don't know that there's actually a dedicated spot for the Rockefeller Center tree. It's right here. And this is 30 Rock. Check this out. Yeah, NBA Lives, that's actually a really good comment. Let me read that. I'm going to scroll back up to your comment. This is Rockefeller Center. Now, I got to update you guys on something interesting. Let me wipe the camera first. Hold on. Sorry about that, guys. I'm trying to maneuver the live stream while holding the umbrella at the same time. Anyway, that's the Today Show, by the way. So last week I had the pleasure of touring one of the best-selling luxury condominiums in New York City, 130 William. I was invited back to preview another luxurious, very, very well-selling condominium in New York. Now, what's interesting about this particular building I'm going to go to, it's called Rose Hill. Okay, so if you want to look this up for yourself, it's an unbelievable project. So it's called Rose Hill. And the interesting thing about it is, guess who the developer is? Right here, the Rockefeller Group. So Rose Hill is actually the first residential luxury apartment building, or I should say condominiums, that was built by the Rockefeller Group. So if you look at some of the pictures, right, if you just Google Rose Hill, New York City, you'll actually see some very intricate undertones and notes of the architectural integrity of 30 Rockefeller Center. That's sort of how they tried to model Rose Hill after. So you're living in one of these ultra luxury condominiums while at the same time feeling that original New York Art Deco feel. It's a really cool project. And I will be there this week. Hopefully I'll be able to get some footage for you guys. If they allow it. But yeah, check it out. It's the first project by, I should say the first residential project by the Rockefeller Group. Wow, this is a really nice shot here. But I want to scroll back up to MBALI's comment. There was a really good comment about producer prices. So MBALI says, Tom, also producer prices have been decelerating sharply in recent months. Oops, hold on one second. Depressed by a strong decline in commodities prices. You're 100% correct on that. You know, just look at crude oil, right? Crude oil went from 130 for a brief time over the last 2 weeks, sub $70 a barrel. Now, I think there were some preliminary statistics that came out. Well, this place is all flooded. I'm not sure if you guys can see that, but this looks like just the rain is hitting the sidewalk. It's really not. This is like an inch of water here. I'm gonna try to tiptoe my way around that. But I think this 4th of July was one of the most traveled 4th of Julys ever. And I forget what the average gallon of gas was. I wrote it down on my notes here. Maybe all wet, maybe hard to read it. Yeah, so for the 4th of July weekend, the average unleaded gallon of gas was $3.49. 35% above 2019 levels, but obviously well below where we were for the 4th of July in 2022. So commodities prices are coming down, which is good. That's good news, we want to see. And that is obviously added to the decline in CPI, right? Now, it is appropriate to note, just as a quick review, that the Federal Reserve mainly takes into account core readings. Core readings. So for those of you who don't know, core readings excludes volatile food and energy, right? However, I have a little bit of a disagreement with the Fed on that, because I think food and energy are, I would say, in the top 3 of the most important factors in the average American's everyday life. People have to put gas in their car, they have to heat their homes, they have to cool their homes, they have to eat, right? And lastly, they have to have shelter, they have to have a place to live. So I think the top 2 categories, in my view, my opinion, is food, energy, and lastly, shelter. But the Federal Reserve says, hey, since food and energy is very volatile, we're gonna put a little bit more weighting on core CPI. Hey, Crypto Meme is here. What's up? This is Yo-Yo. Hey all, here a little bit late. You're right on time, my friend, because we just reached St. Patrick's Cathedral. This is one of my favorite, I guess you can call it churches, right? Cathedral in the city. However, I do like St. Thomas Church a little bit better, which is just up the road there. Now you see this big black building right behind St. Patrick's? This was actually one of the first luxury condos that was ever built in the city. It's called Olympic Tower. And I'll tell you a quick story about it and why they built it. Now, if you're familiar with New York, let's rewind, let's take it all the way back in original New York, right? A lot of wealthy New Yorkers and wealthy Americans, they didn't like to live in Midtown, okay? They didn't like to live on 57th Street back in the day. You know where they like to live? They like to live on the Upper East Side of Manhattan. However, if you think about the Upper East Side of Manhattan, what is the building structure of a lot of those, I should say, apartments on the Upper East Side? Well, they're co-ops, right? And co-ops are very, very picky. Let me just say that, very, very picky. Even if you have the money to buy in a co-op building, you have to be approved by the board. You have to be approved by the co-op board. So one of the things that New York City developers did, because they saw that they had an edge in order to make money, they found that international buyers loved the appeal of Midtown Manhattan, loved the appeal of Fifth Avenue, the shopping district of the world pretty much. So they said, you know what, we're gonna build, and to use their term, gaudy, right? These ultra luxury, sort of all glass skyscrapers to attract foreign buyers to New York. And soon enough, this building pretty much sold out almost immediately and attracted a lot of buyers from South America and Latin America. So if you think about the difference between co-ops and condos, particularly as it relates to New York, if you buy a co-op, you essentially are purchasing shares in a business, right? However, if you're buying a condominium, you're not technically purchasing shares. You actually have individual ownership of your unit. So that's why it attracted a lot of international buyers, more ultra luxury, if you will, because the stigma in New York is that a lot of the old money in New York and in the United States didn't want to live in Midtown, didn't want to live near all the offices. They actually wanted to be tucked away on the Upper East and the Upper West Side, right where those co-op buildings are. But all of that sort of changed, right? Condominiums now have been very, very popular, and you're starting to see that shift, especially towards young people. They want to be in a condominium, right? They want to be in luxury condos where they have all the amenities, where they have the swimming pools, where they have the gyms, where they have, you know, private chefs, right, and all these other amenities. That is appealing now to the younger crowd of New Yorkers. So it's interesting as you look through the history of New York City, particularly New York City real estate, the shift and the transformation in interest from co-ops to condos has been really quite aggressive, I should say. I gotta point out these two buildings real quick, and then we gotta head back downtown. This is the Cartier building. This is my personal favorite on Fifth Avenue as it relates to the Christmas lights. They always do a phenomenal job here at Cartier. Now, if you look at the building, I believe this is 647 Fifth Avenue. This is actually the flagship Versace store. However, unfortunately, it is closed down now. I think they actually moved over to Madison Avenue. And you're starting to see this a lot in Midtown because the rent is ridiculous on Fifth Avenue. So this used to be the flagship Versace store, and it is no longer. I'm actually gonna try to cross the street to give you guys a direct look into the old Versace store. You can probably see some of the insignia there still. We'll do a little bit of jaywalking, just don't tell anybody. Yeah, Western Mass Dave's has loved the flags there. It's a beautiful building. It's really gorgeous. Check this out. If you guys really want to see something beautiful, just Google the Cartier building, New York City, and just type Christmas right next to it. And you will be amazed. They do a great job with the holiday decorations, but here we are. They still have the Versace insignia outside. Ooh, I think we could actually see in there. Look, totally empty now. It's actually kind of eerie seeing this like this. This used to be one of the most, huge attractions to Fifth Avenue, but unfortunately no longer. Completely empty. Hey, Jay is here. What's up, Jay? Kind of cool. Yeah, Western Mass Dave, take a look at the detail of the floors. I wish I can get access inside this building. There's an amazing spiral staircase in here. It's unreal. But yeah, due to all the rents, the high rents in New York City, they closed down. However, they did move their flagship location to Madison Avenue, but it's no Fifth Avenue, let's just say that. In my opinion, you can't compare the two. Oh wow, Keith. So Keith brings up a really interesting point. Maybe we'll actually head up that way. I'll show you guys. So as it relates to the financial markets, we've been talking about a specific company called LVMH, right? LVMH Moet Hennessy. CEO is actually now the richest man on earth. And they purchased Tiffany's, right? They purchased the brand, and they spent about $500 million doing renovations on the flagship Fifth Avenue location, which is going to be coming up right here in a minute. Now, they had the big grand opening party, I don't know, maybe, what is it now, guys? Like a month or so ago. And there was a big fire, I think an electrical fire in the basement of Tiffany's. I think there was maybe 2 or 3 people injured, unfortunately. But I don't know, I think there should probably be an investigation into what's going on there. I mean, if you spend $500 million on renovations, nothing should be catching fire. But anyway, you know, the flagship Tiffany store that is now owned by LVMH, they actually wanted to buy Cartier, but it's not for sale. It seems like LVMH is just on a mission to acquire each and every luxury brand that it can into this huge monopoly. Oh, here we are. What a surprise. This is my favorite church in all New York City. This is called St. Thomas Church. Absolutely beautiful architecture here. Maybe we'll quickly have a look up there just to check it out. Hey, Chris Beeman is in the chat. What's up, Chris? Thanks for joining us on this extremely rainy night in New York. This is the Microsoft store. Hey, Hang with Mark Mom is here. This is Hey Tom and Mods. Very rainy night it is. It's a big week though. Hang with Mark Mom. We got the CPI report coming out. I'm interested to hear your take on that. It's obviously going to be a big data point that factors into the Federal Reserve's decision whether they're going to raise rates or not. This is the University Club. I mean, if you guys look at some photos on Google Images of the inside of the University Club, you're going to be amazed. It's an unreal place. It almost reminds me of the inside of the Morgan Library. Anybody here been to the Morgan Library before? Which is one of my personal favorite museums in New York. You know, maybe if I stand far enough away from the street, if you look closely enough into the University Club, you could sort of see all those beautiful crown moldings. Here's the Carlton Fine Arts. Yeah, Hang with Mark Mom says, oh, raise those rates, raise them and let the cycle repeat itself. Yeah, for sure. I think there's multiple ways how to frame it, right? I mean, there's half the people you talk to say the Fed's doing too much. The other half says we're going back to normal. And if you look at the data, we are actually going back to normal. I got to put you guys on the ground for a minute. I got to adjust the my backpack here. Give me 2 seconds. I'll give you guys a nice view of the Peninsula Hotel. How'd you guys make out? All right? Not bad? All right. Man, right after I wipe the lens. So speaking of hospitality, what we're looking at right now is the Peninsula Hotel right on 5th Avenue, which is one of the most luxurious 5-star hotels in New York. Now, if you remember about 30 minutes ago, as we were talking about Hyatt Corporation, right, ticker symbol H, the Park Hyatt, the flagship, is in 157, which we just walked past. The Peninsula Hotel, this is East 55th Street and 5th Avenue. However, they have a major competitor, which is also another 5-star hotel, literally right next door, and that is called the St. Regis. Anybody here in the chat ever stay at the St. Regis or the Peninsula? Two really, really nice hotels. Very expensive. I think room rates start at about $900 a night. See some of the guests arriving back at St. Regis. I love this original taxi booth here for the bellman. Hey, Natalie's here. This is Tom and team. Good evening. What's up, Natalie? Hopefully you're staying dry, unlike me. Hey, Rocks is my favorite hotel. Love that. Yeah, the peninsula is really nice, especially during the winter time, the holidays. Karina Thompson, it is true. However, I'll probably only be there for about 3 months. Yeah, Joseph's like, it looks like the Willy Wonka elevator. It kind of does. That's funny. But yeah, I'll be, my new place is right near the Hudson Yards, but it'll probably be only temporary. I got assigned to a couple big projects here in the city. Wow, look at this, guys. I'm not a big watch guy. Anybody here love watches? Hey, Janet. Says, though I love your walks, this one is extra good. Thank you for being a trooper in the rain. Thank you for being here. I appreciate it. You know, I'm not a big watch guy. You know, somebody who actually frequents the live stream owns a spot in the Diamond District. He's actually invited me to stop by during the day and maybe stream his jeweler's office. I won't say his name yet. I don't know if he gave me permission to say that. But he's a pretty big jeweler, pretty big deal. I think he does a lot of custom watches for, you know, athletes and things like that. So maybe I'll give you guys a tour around that. Now, I believe you see these stained glass windows here? And hopefully some of you guys could fact check me in real time, but I believe this actually used to be a place called Frederick Fekkai, which is, I believe, a very, very famous designer, stylist, however you want to call it. And I remember being in here when I was a kid, and supposedly these stained glass windows are worth like $5 million in and of itself. So if you want to Google that, it's right next to Harry Winston. The place went out of business, unfortunately, but if you look at those original stained glass windows, I think themselves are worth about like $5 million. It's from some like big glass designer. Yeah, Steve is like, my phone is my watch. My phone is my watch too. I gotta wipe the camera lens again. All right, where are we at now? Okay, this is the Trump International Hotel and Tower, 721 5th Avenue. Now, I gotta tell you guys, since we have some new people, I'll tell you the funny story again. I know you guys hate hearing it, but I had a business meeting right here at Trump Tower. And on the 5th floor, it's their International Business Center. And the place is gorgeous. They actually just redid it after the pandemic. It's unbelievable in there. And the whole wall is covered in these beautiful, Samsung 72-inch screen TVs. And then you have all conference rooms. So I get off the elevator, right? I go into my meeting, and I couldn't help but notice on every single TV, guess what channel was on? Anyone want to take a guess? Well, I try to trudge through this massive puddle here. Oof. And I'm talking about every single TV. Let's walk around the front entrance. Yeah, you're right, it was CNN. No, Joseph says Fox, it was CNN. I couldn't believe it. Every single TV had CNN. It sort of made me believe like there's some, globalist psyop going on where all of the infighting is actually just all fake. I'm telling you, I promise. In the business center, every single TV had CNN on. I couldn't believe it. It was hilarious. Maybe they have some contract where they have to have it up. Just like you see at the airports, some airports have CNN up all the time. I think that they have to do that due to contractual obligations, maybe. Oh, Deborah, okay. Says Fakai is a hairdresser. He relocated to Broadway. Ah, okay. Thank you for saying that, because I didn't know what happened, but he used to be right there. And he had a really, really nice place. So here's the brand new Tiffany store that is now owned by LVMH. It went under $500 million worth of renovations. And unfortunately, there was a big fire here the other day. I think some people were hurt, which is horrible. You never want to see that. But we're gonna cross the street because I want to show you the top floor at Tiffany. They did a really good job on it. And there's a restaurant at the top floor. You have panoramic views of Central Park. This is going to give you guys a really, really nice perspective. The building to our right is the Louis Vuitton store, which is also obviously owned by LVMH. So pretty much LVMH Moet Hennessy owns some of the most sought after real estate in all of New York City, right here on 5th Avenue. Now take a look at the flagship store. What do you guys think? I want you to focus on the very, very top. I believe that's the new restaurant up there. And obviously everything is dubbed in that classic Tiffany blue. Yeah, Ryan Beck says they did a great job. It's phenomenal in there. My neighbor in Miami is actually a big VP at Tiffany. He went to the opening ceremony, but I haven't been in it yet. It would be really nice if we could live stream the inside and I give you guys sort of like a guided tour. Maybe I'll reach out to somebody in there, but it did a fantastic job. Really, really nice. We'll continue up by the Apple store. Hey, DM is here. What's up? Let's see what DM has to say. Oh, really? There's an Aston Martin showroom 57th Street and Park. Let's go. I didn't know that. We're on 57th Street and 5th. Let's go to 57th Street and Park. Aston Martin showroom. I'd like to see that. CBiz here. This is good evening time. I'm coming back to New York City. There we go. Love that. Now, are you relocating permanently or are you just visiting? Hopefully permanent. This is the Saint Laurent store. One more look at Tiffany. But if you're all enjoying the live stream so far tonight, feel free to leave a like on the video. And click the subscribe button if you're new. We usually start these live streams at about 8:30 p.m. Eastern. Walking the city, talking about the financial markets and real estate. We'd love to have you part of the team. So we're approaching Madison Avenue. This is actually my new office. I don't know if I told you guys yet, but this is where I'll be spending most of my time, right here. 575 Madison Avenue. And we're neighbors with 432 Park. You can't even see the top of 432 Park Avenue. It's so tall. But I think it's a good location. It's a good spot. Literally right here on Billionaires Row. So we'll be spending a lot of time around here, which is good. I'm gonna keep my eyes open for this Aston Martin showroom. You know, it's funny, DM says the Aston Martin showroom is here. Park Avenue also has the Ferrari showroom. And it makes sense, right? Because when you think about Park Avenue, you should think about Wall Street. Now, many people don't think that if you're not from New York, but it's true. If you think about the physical street of Wall Street, which is Lower Manhattan, very, very little financial activity happens down there anymore. I think the last standing bulge bracket investment bank that was at 60 Wall Street, Deutsche Bank, German bank, they've even since moved out and they're uptown now, Columbus Circle, the new Deutsche Bank tower. But if you think about the hedge fund business, if you think about family offices, investment banking, a lot of that happens here on Park Avenue. This is the Four Seasons Hotel that closed down during the pandemic and is never open. Isn't that crazy? The Four Seasons Hotel, right on Billionaires Row, never opened after the pandemic. I think the owner is in a big dispute with the city, and I think they're alleging that they shouldn't have to pay property taxes during the pandemic because the city closed them down. I'm not sure the exact story on that. If you guys just Google the Four Seasons Hotel, Billionaires Row, you'll see the story. Crazy story. But the owner refuses to open back up because I think he's fighting with the city. But anyway, it makes sense, right? You see this building right here? This is 425 Park Avenue. This is a brand new Class A office building. Brand new addition to New York's Park Avenue. If you think about one of the most successful hedge funds on the planet, Citadel and Citadel Securities, CEO and founder Ken Griffin, they have their temporary offices right in this building. If you go down a little bit more, you'll see 270 Park, which is Jamie Dimon's old building, or Jamie Dimon's new building, I should say. So this entire area, I think that's the Aston Martin showroom. We just have to wait for the light. This entire area is big finance, right? So very strategically located. You have the Ferrari showroom and the Aston Martin showroom. in clear sight of Ken Griffin's offices. So as he's toiling away on his Bloomberg terminal, he could window shop for some Aston Martin vehicles. Looks like we got a couple more minutes before the light changes. All right, let's check it out. Very cool. I wish there was more lights on in here. We'll start at the beginning and we'll make our rounds around the side. Wow, look at that. You know, this looks like one of those F1 vehicles, doesn't it? Now, who here is a big fan of Formula One racing? There was that big F1 event in Miami. Anybody go to that? Hey, marketing videography is here. What's up? Lorene Peters, Shady901. Now this looks like some sort of crossover SUV type deal. Man, I really wish they would have left like one light on here. You know, if I was in charge of the marketing department at Aston Martin, I'd leave at least one light on. I don't know if you guys can see that, but the cars look actually pretty cool. You just can't see it because it's so dark. What do you guys think? Big shout out to DM, by the way, for letting us know this is here. I didn't even know this was here. I mean, perfect location for it, though. You guys can see my silhouette a little bit. Cool, I'm glad we came around. Right on the corner of East 57th Street and Park. Very cool. Ah, this is one of the Cause statues. Anybody familiar with this artist? Very, very famous. I believe it's called Cause. All right, we got to give a rating to the Aston Martin showroom. I'm gonna go 8.1. If the lights were on, it would have been like a 9.3. But I mean, come on, man. If you want people to see it, you got to leave the lights on. Anyway, all right, East 56th Street, 425 Park. Brand new Class A office tower here. Amazing. Citadel is in here. A lot of big names, a lot of big players. Yeah, Blues writers like they got a high ESG score. Hilarious. No, I'm just joking around. I'm just being a little bit facetious there. It's a gorgeous display. Very fitting for Park Avenue. Yeah, Rob H is 10 for me with the F1 car. Seen a lot of 7.1s, KM Ramsey. Brian, 8 out of 10. Mr. Barry, 7.9. It's fair score. Now here is the gorgeous courtyard at 432 Park Avenue. This is one of the most sought after buildings on New York City's Billionaires Row. And this is a Harry Maclau special. Look at how tall this is. It's so tall, you can't even see the top of the building. Everything is this beautiful marble. Love that white marble color. And this is open to the public 24 hours a day. Now, you'll notice that around like a lot of big buildings, they always tend to allocate some public space. They get a little bit of a tax break if they do that. But wow, what do you guys think? If you had to take your pick of a Billionaires Row building, what would you pick? Would you pick 432 Park Avenue? Would you pick 157? Would you pick Central Park Tower? What do you think? Enzo says, does he walk every night? Enzo, we usually start at around 8:30, okay? I'm gonna say 5 nights a week. So Monday through Friday, we walk around New York City or Miami, talk about the financial markets and New York City and real estate specifically. Saturdays is sort of our night off, where we just have a chat, and Sundays are our markets a look ahead stream. Ooh, Western Mass Dave says the Steinway building. Great choice, Dave. So the Steinway building is 111 West 57th Street. It's actually the skinniest residential apartment building in the entire world. So great choice there. Let me just wipe the camera lens. Now I gotta tell you guys about the structural integrity of the building real quick. If I point the camera all the way up, you see this floor right here, how all the lights are on? You see this floor, how all the lights are on? This one and that one? There's actually nothing in those floors. It's open space. And since the building is so tall, the floor area ratio is so tiny, they actually had to leave airflow space every so couple floors so the building doesn't topple over. So if you see, you know, in the New York City skyline, the lights on in all those floors, there's actually nothing there. It's essentially empty space so the air could flow through so the building doesn't topple over. Hey Enzo, thank you so much for your very kind $5 donation. Appreciate it very much. And thank you for supporting us here on the stream. Yeah, and I mean, the windows are gorgeous. I saw a comment about the windows. Now, these are, you know, it's interesting, right? Because every single unit, it doesn't matter if you purchase a 1-bedroom, a 5-bedroom, or even the penthouse all the way at the top that's on the market for, I think, 100 million. There's a Saudi retail titan who's actually selling the Hermes penthouse up there. An interesting thing about these units is every single unit gets the same unbelievably gorgeous 10 by 10 foot windows. So depending on what floor you're on, you're not going to get smaller window space than the other. If you buy a $5 million apartment, you're going to get the same, I should say, window space, views, as the $100 million plus apartments. I think that's a really nice touch that the developer made. This is First Republic Bank. This almost had a little bit of a hiccup. We won't give them too much of a hard time then. Yeah, Rich New Yorker says 15 Central Park West is really nice too. Great taste in a building, Rich. Now that actually predates Billionaires Row, by the way. That building was actually completed during the Great Financial Crisis in 2008. I believe it's nicknamed the Limestone Building. There was a record-setting sale by a Russian billionaire. Now, we talked about 15 Central Park West at the beginning of the live stream. You have the former CEO of Goldman Sachs, big Wall Street mega bank, Lloyd Blankfein has a unit in there. I think Denzel Washington has a unit in there, and so on. But on Billionaires Row specifically, I would say since 2014 and on, right? But really starting with that Limestone Building, you started to see a lot of Russian buyers because you had a lot of Russian wealth that was created in a very, very short amount of time with the privatization of the big Russian oil company, Gazprom, right? So you quite literally had, you know, people made $2 billion, $3 billion, $5 billion, $10 billion over such a short time span. And a lot of these Russian oligarchs wanted to diversify their net worth away from Russia, away from Vladimir Putin. So they used these unbelievable trophy apartments in New York as a way to store their wealth, right? And you're starting to see a trend with international Asian buyers now. You're seeing a lot of very wealthy buyers from Korea. Now, we mentioned this on the other live stream, but Korea is one of the strongest economies in the entire world. South Korea has done a fantastic job with their country's economy. Now, particularly in the semiconductor space. So there's been a huge boom in wealth in Korea due to semiconductor fabs, semiconductor design and production. You think about Samsung, and you think about SK. So you're starting to see the same thing. You're seeing a lot of interest from Korean buyers, Russian buyers, and even buyers from Argentina that are trying to diversify their assets. You know, if you think about it, if you're buying, you know, an apartment in Central Park Tower, 50 floors up, you know that asset is always going to be there. It's going to be safe. Nobody's going to vandalize it. It's going to be there 24/7, 365. Even if you take a little bit of a hit on the price and you can only resell it for maybe 90% of what you paid for it, it still acts as a great place to diversify and anchor your wealth, particularly if you're an international buyer. Yeah, Prince Ice is LG, Samsung, and SK, all Korean companies. You're absolutely correct. Now this is Jefferies. This is another big investment bank here, right on Madison Avenue and East 53rd Street. I think this is a very unique building, right? Hey, Robin is here. It's my first time here in the chat. I'm so stoked. How exciting. Good to see you, Robin. Thanks for joining us. I like this building because it's very wide at the base of the building, and then progressively as you move up the tower, it gets very, very narrow. Love the Jefferies building. Hey, hello from Sydney, Australia. Love your live walks. Oh, very cool. You came to New York last year. Hopefully you'll come back this year. Lots of new and exciting things to do in this city. So I'm sure you'll be back. We welcome you back. So this is East 52nd Street. I just want to quickly point this out for you guys. We talk a lot about commercial real estate, particularly office, here on Walks on Wall Street. And a big problem that's happening in New York City is the extremely high vacancy rates in office towers, particularly Class B office space, right? So we were just at Rockefeller Center. If you look at the space above the Today Show, that is actually all vacant office space. So is this. However, at Rockefeller Center, I forget the name of the hotel chain. I think it's in Aspen, Colorado, some very big, luxurious resort. They're going to do a conversion from those office spaces into hotels, into luxury hotels. And you're starting to see this happen more and more and more throughout the city. Now, if you want to know where the highest office vacancy is in the city, you'd have to set your sights on Lower Manhattan, the financial district. And as we've explained earlier, when you think about finance, you really shouldn't think about Lower Manhattan anymore. You shouldn't think about Wall Street. You should think about Park Avenue, right? Due to electronic trading and algorithmic trading, you really don't need to be right near the New York Stock Exchange anymore. You can conduct your business from wherever you want. So you've had this huge migration of Wall Street mega banks and hedge funds away from the financial district to Midtown, to Park Avenue, and even Times Square. Most recent and most notable, this is the New York Palace, by the way. This is a gorgeous hotel, another 5-star hotel here in Manhattan. We mentioned Deutsche Bank. Used to be at 60 Wall Street. They have now moved and took over the old Time Warner AOL building that sits right at Columbus Circle. Now, it's a very unique building. In Tower 1 actually is a hotel. It's called the Mandarin Oriental. I'm sure many of you are familiar with it. It is a very, very luxurious, I believe it's a 5-star hotel, the Mandarin Oriental as well. And then in the left tower, you have private residences that are multi-millions of dollars. And then you have Deutsche Bank. So as a lot of these older office buildings become vacant, it's going to be a big problem for New York City. Now, why is that, you may ask? Well, if you think about the New York City budget, and if you think about the New York City tax revenue, the vast majority, well, I shouldn't say the vast majority, I'll say a lot of it, comes from real estate taxes. And if you have a lot of office space in New York City and a lot of office buildings vacant, well, what is that going to do to property values? Well, it's not going to go up, it's probably going to go down. So you're going to see a loss in tax revenue there, which could negatively impact New York City. Hence why you see New York City Mayor Eric Adams out there beating the drum every day about people needing to return to work. You've got to come back to the office. And some of the major Wall Street investment bank CEOs are agreeing. We've heard Jamie Dimon, say everybody needs to be back in the office, particularly the managing directors. I think Goldman Sachs is back, 200 West Street. And Ken Griffin at Citadel Securities. He was recently quoted in a Bloomberg interview that he said the reason why we've been having amazing performance in our portfolio is because we brought our employees back to the office as soon as we could, right? So the argument there is the more collaboration you could have, the more FaceTime you could have with your employees and your coworkers, the better results you're gonna produce. So I don't know, what do you guys think? I want to hear from you. Are you guys being called back to the office? Are you still hybrid, or are you working remote totally? Let us know. Yeah, so that's actually a really good comment. So KM Ramsey says they will convert them to housing. It's a little bit more complicated than that. Now, there has been a lot of condo conversions, but to do it on a mass scale is just not going to happen. It is so expensive to do. And over the last couple months, I've actually been very, very lucky to have some meetings with some very, very big real estate developers in the city. And they all say the same thing. It's like, it's not going to happen. It can't be done. And it's too hard and too expensive to do. Wow, Shady says remote totally. Very cool. Hawaii is still 100% remote, and I love it. I mean, if I was working 100% remote and I lived in Hawaii, I would probably adore it as well. It's one of my goals. I got to get to Hawaii. Beautiful weather, palm trees. As you could tell, I love Miami. I probably love Hawaii even more. Justin S is remote except 1 day a month. Love that. Tom C says, I've been working full-time in the office since September of 2021. Wow. Really? Awesome, Tom. I think you're probably an outlier in the chat. NBA Elias is still remote. Don't miss the traffic at all. Yeah, true that. Now take a look at this, guys. This is 270 Park Avenue, okay? This is going to be Jamie Dimon's brand new office tower. Look at that. And they're already starting to put the glass facade on. Now here's something interesting. I don't know if this is a rumor or not, but pay attention to this diamond structure. You guys see it? So it goes here, here, and then it's gonna be on the upside, the completed diamond. Now, the rumor has it is that Jamie Dimon, obviously his last name Dimon, was nudging the architect to do this design to sort of leave his personal stamp on the building. I don't know how true that is, but I think it would make sense, right? I mean, if the CEO's last name is Dimon, and he's like, you know what, we're gonna build this beautiful office tower on Park Avenue, and I want my, you know, name subliminally engraved in the side. If that's not the biggest power move I've seen, I don't know what is. But anyway, a rumor, but maybe it's true. Yeah, Lix59 makes a great point. Says refinancing commercial real estate is going to be a big problem. I think that's the comment of the night. You're 100% correct. It is going to be a big problem. You know, you have vacancy rates at all-time record highs, and you have a lot of the debt, right? A lot of the commercial paper on these office buildings that need to be refinanced. Now, the problem is, you can sort of see the outline of the diamond. Now, the problem is interest rates have doubled, right? So if all of this debt needs to be refinanced within the next 18 months, right? 18 to 24 months, I don't see the Federal Reserve cutting rates anytime soon. If anything, July 25th is the next FOMC meeting. And if you look at futures, it's pricing in an 87% probability we're going to get another 25 basis point rate hike. So if anything, rates are going higher. So that's going to be, it's going to be a problem. Refinancing all that debt. All right, East 47th Street. Sonia C is here. DM says, I returned to the office in 2020. However, I am no longer with that organization. Copy that, 10-4. So check this out. This is One Vanderbilt. Supposedly one of the best observation decks in the city. We'll cross here and then go to Grand Central. Maybe get out of the rain a little bit. Whoa, look at this. What is this, a Vespa rental place? I've never seen so many Vespas in one spot. That's crazy. That's so many. I know Sonia sees like it's a Vespa convention. That's wild. I don't know why there's so many. Maybe it's like a food delivery distribution center. Who knows? All right, almost at Grand Central. Wow, we've been streaming for 2 hours. Holy crap. Hey, Dr. Murray Hill, MD, what's up? So that's the new Hells Angels headquarters. Hilarious. They're trying to save on gas mileage. Now, I have a Vespa, but that's parked in Miami, Florida. I will say this. If you're watching this live stream and you're looking to move to Florida, particularly Miami, getting a Vespa will be the best investment in your life. It's like 1,500 bucks. It's just amazing, okay? Gets 100 miles to the gallon. Very, very low maintenance. No traffic, right? And it's 80 degrees every day and beautiful sunshine. And you're taking the Vespa to the office, you're taking it to the beach. Can't beat it, my friends. In New York, not so much. Especially riding those things in the winter. I don't know about that. I don't know about that. Now, this is the Yale Club, New York City. This is really nice. Jeff Bezos actually frequents here quite often. MN says you don't drive a car in Florida? Absolutely not, no way. I would never. Now, again, you gotta understand where I live in Florida, right? Florida is a big state. I live in Miami, which is essentially, well, not essentially, it's a massive city, right? So it's very easy to get around on a Vespa. Everything that I need to go to is within 20 miles of each other. So, you know, hop on Collins Avenue, go where I need to go, no traffic, don't have to worry about tickets. But I will say the drivers in Miami are way worse than New York. But if you guys want to connect with us off of YouTube, if you look in the links in the description, you can interact with us on Twitter. I post a lot of real estate data as well as equity research there for free. You could follow at Walks Wall Street. You could sign up for our Substack, our free investing newsletter. But let's duck in here, team, and conclude the stream where it's dry. Whew. Oh my gosh. Wow, does that feel so much better? Well, welcome to Grand Central Station. Yeah, NBA Live's like the umbrella definitely got to work out. Yeah, my umbrella definitely needs a raise. But yeah, I'll keep you guys updated. So I was invited to the preview at 130 William this week, I'm going to be at the brand new development, well, one of the brand new developments called Rose Hill. I already gave you guys a little bit of a scoop on that. It is the first residential luxury condominium that was developed by the Rockefeller Group. So Rose Hill, if you look it up, if you just Google Rose Hill luxury condos, New York, you'll see some underpinnings and some hints of the Art Deco structure of Rockefeller Center. So I'm really excited about that. It's going to be an amazing preview, which I'm excited for. And I will keep you guys up to date on that. But until then, have a great Monday. It is officially Q3. I want you guys to start off on the right foot. I wish you all prosperity as we emerge into Q3, my friends. So we will see you all right back here tomorrow, live on Walks on Wall Street. If you enjoyed the stream, feel free to leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel if you're new, and have a very relaxing Sunday night. So Teresa Diaz, thank you so much. Lemonade, Austin City Limits, Hawaii, Justin S, 3T3, DWG, Dan Zhang, my good friend, Sam Plays, thank you so much. Bree Grams, Hang with Mark Mom, Gigi NYC, Lynn H, Blues Writer, Brick Stonewall, Western Mass Dave, Joan K, Joy, KN Ramsey, DM, Cloud Numbers, Rock. And there's always a bull market somewhere. You just need to know where to look. See you guys all tomorrow.